Fluent Talk Podcast.
From Say and Learn.
Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine for a second that there is a superpower available to you, like right now. And I'm not talking about flight or invisibility or super strength, though honestly, in 2026, this might actually be rarer than any of those.
I think you're right.
It's the ability to just sit down, shut out the absolute chaos of the modern world, and focus completely on one single thing without getting distracted for, say, 20 minutes.
It sounds incredibly simple when you put it that way, doesn't it? Just sit down and work.
Right.
But anyone who has tried to learn a complex skill recently knows that it is anything but simple.
Exactly. And today we are doing a deep dive into a concept that I think is the missing piece for a lot of us. We are looking at a stack of research centered around Cal Newport's modern classic, Deep Work.
A fantastic book.
But we are doing this with a very specific twist. So we aren't just talking about productivity for the sake of, checking emails faster. We are talking about how to train your brain to master difficult things. Specifically, a new language, in a world that is designed to stop you from doing exactly that.
And this lens is crucial because language learning is the ultimate test of focus. You can't fake fluency.
You really can't.
And the mission for this deep dive is to understand why deep work is essentially the shortcut. We want to look at the biology of why most people fail to learn languages despite years of trying, and how we can train our brains to fight back against the attention economy.
I love that term, the attention economy. It sounds like a battlefield.
It is.
But I have to be honest with you right up front. When I started reading through this, my first reaction was skepticism. The promise here is that we can learn faster and better just by changing how we pay attention. It feels a bit like a magic pill. Is it really that dramatic?
It is, but not because it's magic. It's biology. I mean, we are living in a world designed to fragment our attention.
And completely.
We're constantly stopped, started, and pulled away. If you look at the data, the average person checks their email or phone every 6 minutes.
6 minutes.
You literally cannot learn a complex syntax or master a new accent in 6-minute increments. It's physically impossible for the brain to encode that depth.
6 minutes. That actually sounds generous for some of my days. So if we're going to fix this, we need to define our terms. What exactly are we talking about when we say deep work?
Right.
Because to me, working hard and deep work sound like the same thing.
They're definitely not the same thing. Deep work has a very specific, almost clinical definition.
Okay.
It means professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that push your cognitive capabilities to their limit.
Okay, distraction-free is the heavy lifter there.
That's the key. And for a language learner, that means no phone on the table, no notifications, no, I'll just check this text quickly.
None of that.
It's about creating this hermetic seal around your focus. When you do that, your brain functions differently. It's a high-performance mode where you can process information quickly and, crucially, move it to long-term memory.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate. Most people don't work like that. Most of us are in what Newport calls shallow work. Is that really so bad? I mean, I can listen to a podcast while I do the dishes, or I can run through some flashcards while I'm watching Netflix. I'm still getting exposure to the language. Isn't some contact better than none?
It's better than nothing, sure. But shallow work is the killer of progress.
The killer of progress, wow.
Shallow work is, well, it's non-cognitively demanding logistical style work, often performed while you're distracted. So if you're doing flashcards while watching Netflix, you aren't really learning, you're just maintaining.
Or treading water.
Exactly. There's a great analogy that Newport uses, and it applies perfectly to language. Think of learning like water.
Okay.
Shallow learning is like walking in water that is only up to your ankles. It's safe, it's easy, and you don't have to exert yourself.
Right.
But you aren't swimming. You aren't building muscle.
So deep work is the deep end of the pool.
It's diving all the way to the bottom. You have to go fully in. When you are submerged, your brain is forced to adapt to the pressure. If you only ever walk in the shallows, if you only ever do passive listening or distracted at tapping, you never reach your potential. You stay stuck at the intermediate plateau for years.
That is actually a terrifying thought, being stuck for years, not because you aren't smart enough, but because you're just splashing around.
That's the reality for most learners. Let's look at a concrete scenario. Take two learners, learner A and learner B.
Okay.
Learner A sits down for just 20 minutes. No phone, no music with lyrics,
Just
this, then a complex English text. They're struggling to understand it. They're fully locked in.
Got it. And learner B?
Learner B studies for 20 minutes too, But their phone is face up on the table.
Of course.
They get a WhatsApp notification, glance at it, don't reply, and go back to the text. Then they check the time. Then they switch tracks on Spotify.
But they both spent 20 minutes. In a logbook, it looks identical.
But biologically, it's night and day. Learner A grows, learner B does not. The research shows that shallow work creates slow, weak progress. Deep work creates high-quality results. It's not about the hours you put in, it's about the intensity of the focus during those hours.
Okay, you keep saying biologically. Let's dig into that, because I think a lot of us feel like focus is just a habit or a mood. But you're saying there is actual hardware changing in the skull.
Yes. This is the part that usually blows people's minds. It comes down to a substance in the brain called myelin.
Myelin. Okay, take us to biology class. What is myelin?
Think of your brain as a massive tangle of electrical wires. Every time you have a thought or practice a skill like trying to pronounce a difficult English sound, a signal fires down a specific circuit of neurons.
Okay.
Now, initially, that circuit is like a dirt road. It's slow, it's high resistance, and the signal might get lost.
That's definitely how I feel when I try to speak a new language. A lot of resistance.
Exactly. But here is the magic. When you focus intensely on that specific skill, when you do deep work, you trigger a specific cell in the brain called an oligodendrocyte.
An oligo what?
Oligodendrocyte. These cells wrap layers of myelin around that neural circuit. Myelin is a fatty tissue that acts like insulation on a wire.
Oh, okay, like wrapping a copper wire in rubber?
Better, like turning a copper wire into a fiber optic cable.
Oh.
Myelin prevents the energy from leaking out and makes the signal travel at lightning speeds. When you see someone who is fluent, who speaks without thinking, it's because their neural circuits are heavily myelinated.
So deep work is basically a myelin factory.
Precisely. And here's the kicker. Distraction stops the myelination process. If you are constantly switching tasks, your firing patterns are scattered. You never fire the same circuit enough times in a row to trigger the myelination. So learner B, the one checking WhatsApp, they're firing the signal, interrupting it, firing a different signal, interrupting it. No insulation gets built. Their brain stays a dirt road.
Wow. That actually explains so much. It explains why I can scroll through Instagram for an hour and not remember a single thing, or why I can study for a year and still stumble over the same basic grammar.
You haven't insulated the wire.
I haven't insulated the wire.
That is exactly it. And this brings us to the enemy of myelin, the attention economy.
This is Newport's concept again. It sounds like a conspiracy theory, but I have a feeling you're going to tell me it's just capitalism.
It is capitalism, but weaponized. Companies like Meta, TikTok, and Google aren't just building fun apps. They are engineering products to hijack your dopamine system. They are literally fighting for your attention because that is their revenue source.
So when I feel that pull to check my phone, it's not just me being weak-willed.
No, you are up against 1,000 engineers on the other side of the screen whose only job is to break your focus.
That's terrifying.
They profit when you are distracted. You're effectively at war with these algorithms.
And if you're constantly checking your phone, you aren't just multitasking, you're losing the war.
You are losing the ability to control your own mind. But there is a flip side to this, which Newport calls the deep work hypothesis. Because the world is so distracting, the ability to focus is becoming incredibly rare.
Supply and demand. If everyone else is a distracted mess, the person who can focus is king.
Exactly. If you can train yourself to do deep work, you have a massive competitive advantage. You can learn English to a professional level in half the time it takes someone else. You can master complex skills while everyone else is just skimming the surface.
Okay, I'm sold on the why. The math works, the biology works, but now we have to talk about the how.
Or the hard part.
Because let's be real, my phone is right here. My boss expects me to be on Slack. My kids come into the room. It's nice to say eliminate distractions, but is that actually achievable for a normal person, or is this just advice for monks living in a mountain monastery?
It is achievable, but you have to stop thinking you need 4 hours of silence. You don't.
Okay.
You need to start with reasonable blocks. And it starts with rule #1. Work deeply through ritual.
Ritual? That sounds a bit mystical. What does that look like on a Tuesday morning?
It's about conditioning. You can't just sit down and hope you'll feel like focusing.
Right.
Willpower is a limited resource and you'll run out. You need a system that removes the decision-making process.
So don't wait for inspiration.
Never wait for inspiration. Create a focus ritual. This signals to your brain that it is time to work. It could be simple. You sit in the exact same chair every time. You have a specific cup of coffee.
Yeah.
You put your phone in a drawer, not just face down, but physically away from your body.
Oh, that's a big one.
You take 3 deep breaths.
It's basically Pavlovian conditioning. You're training yourself like a dog.
100%. You are setting a trigger, you do the steps, and your brain releases the neurotransmitters for focus before you even start the task.
Yeah.
It says, oh, I know this sequence. We are about to do the hard thing.
And what is the goal state here? What does it feel like?
The goal is flow. You know that feeling when you are so absorbed in something that you lose track of time? In language learning, this is that magical moment where you stop translating in your head and just understand the meaning.
I've had that a few times. It feels amazing, but it's so fragile. One text message and it's gone.
That's the problem. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes of struggle to get into flow.
Right.
If you check your phone every 10 minutes, you literally never reach the flow state. You spend your whole life in the struggle zone and never get to the flow zone.
That is depressing. We're constantly paying the entry fee but never seeing the show.
Exactly. And remember, focus is a muscle. If you haven't been doing deep work, your focus muscle is atrophied. You might sit down to focus, and after 3 minutes, your brain starts screaming. It wants the easy dopamine. It feels physically uncomfortable.
It does. It feels like an itch. I've sat down to read a dense article, and after 2 paragraphs, my hand is literally twitching toward my pocket.
That is withdrawal.
How?
You are withdrawing from the constant stimulation.
Wow.
And that leads us directly to rule #2, which is the one everyone hates.
Oh, boy. Lay it on us.
Rule #2, embrace boredom.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear that. We have entire industries designed to prevent boredom.
We do. But Newport argues that if you can't handle boredom, you can't do deep work. The ability to focus is not just about what you do when you work. It's about how you train your brain when you aren't working.
Wait, so what I do in the grocery store line affects how well I learn English?
Directly. Think about it. You're standing in line at the grocery store. There's a lull. What do?
I pull out my phone. Instantly, I check the news, weather, anything.
Right. You are teaching your brain that the moment there is a lack of input, you will provide a shiny distraction. You are wiring your brain to be intolerant of stillness. So when you sit down to study irregular verbs, which is boring and hard, your brain panics. It says, whoa, we don't do quiet and hard. Where's the phone?
So we've accidentally trained ourselves to be ADHD.
Effectively, yes. We have to retrain the capacity for stillness. The suggestion is simple but painful. Don't take out your phone.
Just
Stand in line and just stand there. Walk to your car without listening to a podcast. Sit and drink your coffee and just stare at the wall for 5 minutes.
That sounds excruciating.
It is at first. You will feel that itch, but you have to ride out that wave. You have to teach your brain that calm is safe.
I can see a specific application for language learners here, too. You know when you're reading a book in English and you hit a word you don't know?
The dictionary reflex.
Yes, the dictionary reflex. You see a hard word and instantly you grab the phone to translate it. That's the same inability to tolerate uncertainty.
That is a brilliant connection. Deep work in language learning means sitting with that confusion for a minute.
Sitting with it.
Looking at the context. Wrestling with the sentence. That struggle is the learning. That is when the myelin is being wrapped. If you look it up instantly, you kill the struggle and you kill the learning.
So embrace the confusion. Embrace the boredom. It's all part of the same muscle group.
Exactly.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to pivot. We've been very tactical, myelin, rituals, rules. But the source material ends on a note that's surprisingly philosophical. It talks about the deep life.
This is my favorite part. Because if we just treat this as how to get more done, we miss the point.
Right.
Deep work isn't just about efficiency. It's about the quality of your existence.
That's a big claim.
It is. But think about the difference between a day filled with shallow work and a day with deep work. Shallow work leaves you feeling frazzled, anxious, and empty. You were busy, but you built nothing. You connected with no one deeply.
The hamster wheel existence.
Right. But deep work creates a sense of meaning. When you spend an hour truly focused on learning a language, you feel a sense of quiet pride.
Yeah.
You engaged with something difficult, and you made progress. You respected your own potential.
And specifically for language, deep work is what allows for deep connection. You can't have a deep conversation with someone in another language if you're stuck in the shallows of, hello and how are you?
Exactly. To really connect with another human culture, you have to do the hard work of mastering their code, That requires depth. Right. Newport talks about protecting your mind like a precious garden.
Yeah.
We have to say no to the noise, not because we hate technology, but because we love our own potential too much to waste it on cat videos.
It's reframing the no. It's not, I can't check my phone. It's, I am choosing to keep my attention for something that matters.
That's the shift. It turns focus into an act of self-respect.
So let's bring this all home. We've covered a lot of ground. Deep work is the superpower of the 21st century.
It is. It's the ability to insulate your neural circuits with myelin so you can perform at a master level.
We know that shallow work, that ankle-deep splashing, is biologically incapable of producing expertise. If you want to learn English, you have to swim in the deep end.
And to do that, you need a ritual. Stop relying on willpower. Build a system.
Same chair, phone away, deep breath.
Yep.
And the hardest pill to swallow, stop fearing boredom. That itch you feel to check your phone is just your brain throwing a tantrum. Don't give in. Let it pass.
And remember, this is about living a rich, deep life. It's about ownership.
So here is the thought I want to leave you with today. We talked about the attention economy. These trillion-dollar companies are fighting for your eyes every single second because your attention is literally currency. It is the most valuable resource you have.
So the provocative question is, if they are fighting that hard to steal your attention, what would happen if you decided to keep that value for yourself?
What could you build? What language could you finally speak? Who could you become if you stopped giving your mind away for free?
I think it's time to find out.
Thanks for diving deep with us. Go find some quiet. We'll see you next time.